Hey guys, if you're shopping for knives and gear, make sure you check out the description of the video you're watching right now for links to some great online retailers. There's also individual links for knives that I personally recommend. Thanks!
What's going on YouTube? Metal Complex here, and today I've got another interesting knife review slash knife overview to share with you guys. This is the WE Knives Model 620. This has been around for a very long time. This might have been the very first WE knife that I was aware of. But it is still available. In fact, I will provide links for this, all of the different variants of this. There are a ton of different variants of this knife right down in the description, as well as WE knives in general, if you guys want to take a look. I have always been interested in this knife. In fact, this is a knife that I requested from my audience when I do my, it's like every month or so, I have a list of knives that I'm looking for if people want to send them in as loaners so that I can review them. I specifically requested this one because I've always been intrigued by the ergonomic profile of it, and I wanted to see what it was all about. And thanks to Steve, I was able to do that. So thank you very much, Steve, for sending this in for review. Also, thanks to my generous patrons for supporting me right now. If you guys are enjoying the daily knife content on this channel and you'd also like to support me and get your hands on some cool stickers and other benefits, there is a link for my Patreon right down in the description. And please follow me on Instagram at metal_complex. All right, let's go ahead and get a measurement on this guy. I know this has proprietary screws. I know people want to leave that comment before they watch the video. I got thoughts on that. Just bear with me. Overall length of this guy, boy, this is a big 8.75 inches overall if we're going all the way back here to this tip. Blade length, 3.75 inches. Cutting edge coming in at about 3.2. Not quite 3 1/4. Let's go ahead and do some size comparisons. Up against the Ontario Rat Model 1. The Rat 1 coming in a little bit shorter at 8.6 inches overall. How about up against the Spyderco PM2? Spyderco PM2 coming in at 8.3 inches overall. How about up against the Benchmade Griptilian, or in this case the Ritter Hogue? Ritter Hogue coming in at 8 inches overall. How about up against the Spyderco Para 3? Spyderco Para 3 coming in at 7 1/4 inches overall. And last but not least, the Benchmade Mini Griptilian coming in at 6.75 inches overall. How's the action on this guy? The action is pretty typical for WE. It is really smooth, and honestly, the only means, well, so the thumb stud is in a very optimal place. And this area right here always initially made me think that maybe the thumb stud could be adjusted. No, I think that's all just aesthetic, right? You can't really adjust the pivot. You can take it off if you want to, but the pivot, I keep saying the pivot, the thumb studs, they can't be moved left or right, that's what it looks like. But using that tool, which I believe comes with this knife, I don't know that for sure. I could have sworn I read something about that or heard something about that, or at least they offer the tool. Obviously, WE knives, and for anybody who's not familiar with WE knives, they don't use this type of hardware anymore. They use simple Torx heads, right? So this is an older model. That's what we're looking at here. But yeah, the thumb studs are in a great place. It's very easy to deploy. The knife is very smooth. It's very nearly fall shut. You can absolutely do, whoops, caught the background there. You can absolutely do the reverse flick. And for those of you wondering, is the fuller accessible to do reverse flick? Only way down here can I get my finger in there. But yeah, you totally can. You have to hold the knife a little bit awkwardly, but you can totally do the reverse flick with the fuller. It's just not that optimal. But I don't know, for those of you who like to mess around with stuff like that, then there you go, you can do that. The action is very nice. This does run on bearings, which you can, I don't know if you guys can actually see it. It runs on bearings. Country of origin of this knife is China. That's the way with all WE knives, so do with that information what you will. Yeah, the action's great. I really don't have a problem with it. The thumb studs are nicely rounded off, so it's really not going to tire your hand out or anything like that. And it's quite satisfying, actually, given how long the blade is, how much weight and mass there is there. You can see it's actually shaking everything. There's a lot of recoil. It's very satisfying. And the detent is nice and clicky, which is something that I appreciate. Let's go ahead and do a, well, we can't do a hardware check. We'll talk about that here real quick. The screws, including the pivots, all are this weird proprietary star shape, and I think they got an enormous amount. I mean, I'm talking years ago. WE knives, when they were starting out, got an enormous amount of feedback from the knife community saying, WTF, why are you doing this? And so they just stopped at some point. But like I said, I think it comes with a tool, and if it doesn't, I know that a tool exists to be able to adjust it. So Okay. There's 1, 2 for this upper. It's got 2 backspacers. The upper backspacer. There's 3 screws down here holding in the backspacer, and then 3 screws for the pocket clip. There's a steel lock bar insert screw, and then you've got the pivot. So there's quite a bit of hardware. So, anyways, let's go ahead and do carry profile. So thickness up against the Spyderco Para 3. You can see here it definitely is thicker than the Spyderco Para 3. It's not meant for thick or anything like that, but it definitely is going to be kind of a chunk in the pocket. How about height and length up against 2 knives with awkward carry profiles that nobody ever complains about? You can see it's actually longer than both the PM2 and Para 3, but not quite as tall. In fact, nowhere near as tall. Where it's going to get you is thickness and weight. Let me go ahead and take a look at the inside. You can get my flashlight right down in the description if you're interested. There is some milling, which is great because this thing would be way too heavy without it, or it would just be exceptionally heavy. And then let's go ahead and get a measurement of the blade stock thickness. I'm going to guess 150 thousandths. 155 thousandths. It's pretty typical for WE. Very similar to what ZT does with a lot of their, well, what they used to do. Weight on this guy, I'm going to guess 5 ounces. 4.8, yeah, okay. So it's over that 4 ounce mark. It's over the ounce and inch mark as far as, blade, in terms of blade length to weight ratio, right? This is in my preferred weight range from 4 to 6.5 ounces. I don't have a problem with it. A lot of people who carry smaller, lighter weight knives are definitely going to have a problem with it. If you wear fitted pants or lighter pant material, you're absolutely not going to enjoy this knife. If you can legally carry this knife in your area, which is going to be a problem for some people, and you're used to larger full-size knives or you wear, like jeans every day, yeah, this isn't going to be a problem for you. It's not, there's nothing, no shape or a part of this knife that is bothersome in the pocket. It's just heavier than your average knife. But honestly, I mean, for the overall size of it, really 4.8 ounces is really not that bad. Especially considering we're looking at full titanium and a reasonably thick blade stock. What have we not gone over? Have we measured everything? Yeah, I think we have. Okay, so let's go ahead and move on to the anatomy here. WE still does their pivot the same way. Honestly, I enjoy this. This particular one is bronze and gold. They have purple and green and black and gray and blue. They got a million different versions of this, right? There's a couple of different prices, which we'll talk about here in a sec, but this looks pretty good. Personally, I like the monochromatic stuff, or the lighter and darker shades of gray. Even a little bit of black here and there is okay, but this looks pretty good. They did a nice job of the anodizing. Check out the milling work here on the titanium. That looks really good to me. I love these diagonal lines on the titanium. You can feel them, but it's not rough at all. It's not something that's going to wear down your pockets or anything like that. It's honestly not enough to really create any sort of meaningful traction here. It's going to be the lines of the knife that lock you in, and let's talk about that here for a second. This is the reason that I was so attracted to this this blade. Is it looked like there was plenty of room on the handle to get a full 4-finger grip in this the primary position, and in this nice forward choil up here. This is a large forward choil. I love that. I absolutely love that I can choke up on this guy. It's very comfortable, whether you want to go here, you want to go here, you want to go here, right? Whatever it is that you want to do. Reverse grip is fine. Ergonomics on this guy are just great. And all of these areas down here are just nicely rounded off. You can see there that reflectivity on those heavily rounded areas is just nice. Excess here. There's a little bit of a point back here, but that's not a natural position for your fingers to come in contact with. These areas here, these bowls, nicely knocked down. The pointiest part is right back here off the tip of the lanyard slot. I guess you can use that as a glass breaker, whatever. The thing is out of the way of the pocket clip. I just don't really care that it's there. I love the backspacer, how they've gotten like 2 different backspacers. This one's actually wider than the frame, and they mill it into, or they mill pockets in the frame. They have it set into the frame. I think that's cool. And then this one up here is just a pretty standard backspacer with some gear patterns on it. It's nice. Fit and finish on this guy is, as per usual with WE, it's perfect. Older WEs, do they have good fit and finish? Yeah, they do. It's no different than the WEs that I've handled here recently. For years and years and years, the consistency and quality with WE knives is just amazing. They're always like this. Everything is just nice. There's nothing on this knife that looks sloppy. Let's move on to the blade. So on this guy, we have a tumbled finish, and there's a nice little fuller right here. Blood groove, some people like to say. Fuller. That's what I like to call it. Flat that carries out about 85% the length of the blade. And then we have a sheep's foot. Some people are going to call it reverse tanto. We call it reverse sheep's tanto. Whatever you want to call it is fine with me. Somewhat thick behind the edge. No, I mean, it's not thick, right? It's just, this is from a while ago where people weren't like going crazy for the whole, like, it has to be, 13 thousandths behind the edge. It's definitely still going to tackle your generic EDC tasks no problem. This is not, it's not what I'd call mega thick. It's not thin. It's probably normal or medium, right, as far as the majority of the knife community is concerned. But the edge is done nicely. This obviously has not been used, which is great. I don't know if this is a brand new one or if it's one that's actually from a while ago. It's possible that the person who sent this in has actually had it for years and just not used it. The blade looks great. It's a very good-looking blade. WE likes to do it. There's a reason I don't show a ton of WE knives on this channel. I know they've got consistent quality. I know they use great materials, but some of their designs are so freaking weird. It's like aesthetically, I'm just, as somebody who can, generally speaking, request almost anything from his audience, which, by the way, I'm not flexing, I'm not bragging. I'm very appreciative of that. I'm lucky to have people who are willing to send me stuff, right? As somebody who can acquire that from those types of knives from his audience, I don't look at a lot of WE stuff because I'm like, it's weird, It looks like a pterodactyl's foot or some crazy stuff, So this knife, despite the fact that it has super weird proprietary hardware, is beautiful in its lines. It really looks like something that, this is weird when I'm drawing around it with my hands like this. I'm sorry about that. This looks good to me. It's why I wanted to get my hands on this, literally, because it looks like something that would be a functional tool ergonomically, and it definitely is, and the blade shape is going to complement that as well. What's the blade material? M390. So you've got M390 and titanium. A little bit more robust geometry, but nice to control, nice to manipulate. This is a friend to the hand, absolutely. Moving on here, there's your lanyard thing. It's interesting how the backspacer comes around here. I actually really like this area of the knife right here. This backspacer back here is actually slotted into the frame. You can see how they did that, and this is this is cool. It looks like some sort of artifact that you'd find hidden deep in a temple somewhere. It's just I like this area. It's just nice. They do that area, that thing here with a relief cut, where instead of just making it one, consistent. Do I have something near me? No, I don't. But they do 3 slots in the relief cut, which is nice. And then they have these extra little lines, these areas here. They didn't have to. They did just because it looks nice and it's not taking away from anything. The pocket clip is weird. In and out of the pocket, because the bill slants down, which is so dumb. I don't know why companies do that. Is there a reason for the bill to slant down so it holds onto your pocket? But I don't know. I don't like that. I like it when bills slant upward continuously, right? Up. Not up and then straight. I don't like that. Not down, just up. So then it doesn't fight the, varying pocket seam thickness that because if you're like me, you wear different pants sometimes, and those different pants have different thicknesses of pocket seams, so it's nice to not have to fight that. That's fighting I'm wearing workout pants, like the fitted workout pants, right? Thin material. This fights that. I don't like that, right? The pocket clip is also kind of weird. It doesn't not go with the design, but it definitely doesn't really go with the design, in my opinion. The angle that it carries is totally fine, and honestly, that's all the more that's going to be sticking up out of your pocket, so it's fine. And it's got 3 proprietary screws, and the star thing looks weird, right? The pocket clip is my least favorite part of this knife, but it is functional, and I believe it's titanium. It's usually the case with WE knives. Yeah, it's titanium as well. So there you go. I'd give the pocket clip a C-. What does that mean? It means C-. That's all the more detail I can give you. The pivot, despite having the star thing in it, actually does look good. I like how it looks like a dish, just a upside down dish. It's kind of nice. But fit and finish and to the touch, the seams and everything, it all looks great. There is a steel lock bar insert that doubles as the over travel stop. You can see here we are locking up nice and early at something like 15%, but it is completely and totally solid. No hint or suggestion of slippage, right? Easy to disengage, no lock stick, and we are centered. Or are we ever so slightly off? Okay, so ever so slightly. But given that this is an older design, and I have to assume that possibly the person who owns this has owned it for a long time and has been flipping this over and over and over again, it's possible that you could get this thing completely and totally back to center by slightly turning the pivot, which I'm going to guess is the case. I just can't perform that for you guys because I don't have the tool. So I wouldn't lean too heavily on the centering there, but it's fine. It's not rubbing, and it certainly, at first glance, it certainly looks like it's completely and totally on center. Yeah. So final thoughts here. Obviously, the proprietary screws are weird. This is an older design, so it is what it is, right? I don't think that they, are planning on bringing this back with a different set of screws. It'd be cool if they did, but I doubt that that's what they're going to do. Yeah, the proprietary screws are freaking weird. Not going to say it's thick behind the edge, but it's thicker behind the edge than some people are going to like, right? If you're really nitpicky and you're shaving, wax paper or grapes every day, then this isn't going to be the knife for you. The pocket clip is definitely weird, and it has that downward slanting bill, which is not something that I like. These are all nitpicks. These are all little nitpicks. This knife does not have any fatal flaws. It has some frustrating and confusing flaws, but nothing fatal. Truthfully, where this knife shines is, in the action, positioning of the thumb studs, right? And especially the ergonomics. The ergonomics on this thing are just great. And truthfully, because the pocket clip, okay, here's a reason, I guess, for this downward slanting bill. There's absolutely no hotspot on this thing. Nowhere. No hint of it. This is absolutely friendly to the hand. So there you go. If you can gain something positive out of that pocket clip, then there you go. Excellent materials, right? Excellent machine work. Everything is just about perfect on this knife as far as fit and finish. What do these come in at? I've seen these ranging, periodically these models are on sale. It seems like they go anywhere from $220 to $250. Is that a good price for this knife? Yeah, it's still definitely a good price for this knife. I mean, in today's, knife world, what you're looking at here, it's expensive for sure. That's going to be too much money for a lot of people. But with the, the tolerances, the fit and finish here, the materials, right, and the overall design, is it worth that money? Yeah, I think so. Despite you're gonna have to get around the proprietary hardware thing. If it doesn't come with a tool, and you really are gonna have to adjust the knife after a while, you're gonna have to find that tool. But it's still a knife that I can recommend. If this didn't have the pocket clip that it did, and the proprietary screws were they were Torx, oh my gosh, I would be just shouting the name of this knife from a mountaintop, right? I can't quite do that, but I do really like this. It is, it's about what I expected it would be. I like it about as much as I thought that I would like it. I think this is really cool, and I think people who can get around that stuff, right, I think you're really going to like this. So I will link this knife, like I said, and all of the different variants down below, so that if this color scheme is not your thing, you can find one that is your thing. But I mean, if you can snag one of the ones at $220, I think that's obviously a substantially better deal. Some of the other color patterns, maybe the more popular color patterns, are up in the $250 mark, and it's $30 more, but it's not unreasonable for this knife. I think $220 is freaking spot on. The fact that you can get them for that price is amazing. So yeah, pick those up down in the description, and I'll also link everything that We Knives has, so you guys can browse through their stuff if you're not familiar with the brand, or if you just haven't checked them out in a little bit. Thanks again, Steve, for sending this in for review. Guys, make sure to follow me on Instagram at metal_complex. If you enjoyed this video, please leave a like. If you'd like to check out my other content, I do, of course, have lots of videos of knives that are either expensive or inexpensive that I do or don't like, so check those out. And if you enjoy all my content, go ahead and click on that Metal Complex logo right there and subscribe, because there's definitely more coming. Thanks again for watching, everybody, and have a great day.